Hi, my name is Gary. This is the last of a 6-video series I'm doing to give people a slightly different path to success with their astrophotography images. Now, we've done everything. If you've watched the other videos, you kind of know what I'm going to do, but this one is just to demonstrate the power of this. We've taken it very slowly, explained every step. So this time I'm just going to show what happens when you when you come home. With brand new images. We're going to use Siril for this, well discussed in the prior videos. But when you come home, if you've taken lights, you just drop them in your light folder, and if you've taken darks, you just drop them in your darks folder. Your biases are all ready to go. We previously stacked and saved off the master, and same thing for flats. I don't take new ones every time not with a DSLR on a unguided tracking mount. They don't change much, and if I notice defects in the images, I can just take more. So we are ready to go. You drop in your lights, and we'll fire up Siril. And one thing I'm going to do, just again to demonstrate the time frame of this, is we are going to start a timer. And I'll just let it run until we're done. And I'm hoping it should be well under half an hour to do this M31 Andromeda. So I'm just going to start that. And in Siril, I've already done this, so I'm just going to use the 4 minutes or so that it took to pre-process, register, and stack. If we were doing it again in real time, it would, on this machine, be about 4 minutes. But what I did is I ran, first of all, this script: no darks, master flat, master bias, no stack. And I had a look at the sub, and even on the subs, there was a moon out, there was a gradient visible. So I believe that that I should also run this script. It's another one of mine. These are all available via Google Drive. They're linked from my prior 2 videos. But this is per sub background extraction with no stack. So what that does is it pre-processes the lights and then gives each one a gentle background extraction to flatten out the gradients. So what I have done, we're just going to go into the process folder. And those of you that have seen my videos know what we're doing here. So there's the original converted light sequence, the pre-processed light sequence, and I did run and stack that light sequence just to see, and I'll show you the results. And then we also have our background extracted pre-processed lights and the registered version. And then in Siril, at that point, all you have to do is go over to the stacking tab and run your stacking. I did apply a filter to bring down the number of images based on certain parameters. Again, that's all been discussed in other videos. So we're going to back out of the process folder, cd ... space ... So we're back in the main folder. And I'm going to show you without individual subs background extracted. This is what we got. This is a rather extreme view. This is the auto stretch view, but if you go to the histogram view, it's much more extreme, but crazy gradient from the moon. And I tried running a background extraction on that, but it wasn't ideal. So I ran that other one, which applied to a per sub background extraction. And in the auto stretch view and in the histogram view, it's much better. So when we start with this one, in fact, I'm just going to leave it loaded. What we're going to do is pre-process and post-process this image in the rest of this video. Let's see how we're doing for time. Okay, 3 minutes. I might as well just go on. All the stacking, registration, whatever, took 3-4 minutes. So we're kind of close to real time now. So the first thing we're going to do in Siril, and I've explained all these steps in the other videos, so this time we're just kind of demonstrating it in action. We're framing up our subject now, and we will go crop, and we will go back to a free ratio selection. We will rotate it, and first thing I'm going to do is another background extraction on this. The reason is that there is some gradient remaining. Not too bad out of the crop, but it's a bit bright at one side, a bit darker in the middle, so we're going to do this. Okay, those are kind of on the edge of stuff I want to keep. Okay. Okay, I think we can work with that. We're just going to close that. Next stage is a color calibration. So we just need to find somewhere pretty dark here. So we are going to, a little bit of white is okay. I'm just going to check the other channels. Okay. Color calibration. Okay, background neutralization is done. Now the trick is to find something white. I think I'll just use this guy. There's some white in the middle there. We don't want to get all the chromatic aberration mixed into it though, so I'm just going to do a selection kind of like this. Apply, close, and we'll go to the RGB view now. Not too bad. Real quick, I'm going to do a photometric color calibration. This takes information from the internet. And focal length was 200, pixel size is 3.92, and okay. It's applying color to the stars now. Close. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to do here is a gentle median filter. This just avoids having to smooth it right away when we come out of Siril. So that's taken down the noise. It's actually changed the luminosity a little bit of the galaxy as well, but I can live with that. Okay, so at this point we're still in a linear state. This is the reality of the situation. I'm going to do a combination of arc sine stretching and histogram stretching. So we're just going to give this something under 100 is good for a first one. Can't do much with blacks right now. So this is still not a linear view, it's an arc sine view. So we're going to go as far as we can here, and then we'll finish it off with histogram stretching. Okay, let's just see if we can get a little bit more out of that before switching the views. Okay, so let's go to a linear view now. So this is the reality of the situation. And let's just try to bring this up a little bit more. And now I'm going to switch over to histogram. Now Siril has a nuclear button, but I find it to be kind of harsh, so I'm not going to do that. We're just going to do kind of what you would normally do. And okay, we don't want to clip those guys too much. Okay, we can take the darks just until the histograms start to drop like that. So I think that's good. So next job is to just save it off as a TIFF. We're going to call this, let's just call it main.tiff. And save. Now I'm going to be going next to Starnet, which is a 16-bit program, so we're doing 16-bit. And if you have Photoshop, it's 16-bit, so you probably you could just convert it here, it's the easiest. If I was just going straight to GIMP, I would make it a 32, because GIMP is a 32-bit program. Now in stretching, these are old images with a newer flat set. So we do have a new spot on the image, and if we need to, we'll fix that in GIMP a little bit later. So here we are. Okay, that's good enough. I'm not going to do anything in GIMP before we do star removal. So we're going to take this over to Starnet++, and again, this has all been fully described in the other videos, and we're just going to drop that on the executable and let it run. Starnet, if you use the batch file, this is a good way to do it. It's just it does the command line for you. And if you use that, it's going to look for a file named stars.tiff and output a file named starless.tiff. And I usually run this in a stride of 100, which is faster than a 64 stride. I've explained all this before, but I'm doing this one at 64, which is the Starnet default. And I'm doing that just because I want a little bit better quality on this one. So I didn't use the batch file this time. I'm going to save that for next time. But it's running at 64 stride right now, which takes 4 times longer. So it's going to take its time. So I've done the GPU acceleration on my computer. So this is running 5 times faster than it would on a CPU only. And we're at 75% right now. If it was just CPU, it would be another 10 minutes maybe, and if it was a slower computer, it could be an hour. But we've got everything kind of working for us at the moment. 94%. We'll just wait this one out. That timer is still running. We're at 11 minutes. Oh, Starnet has done it. Okay. So we have main and starless. Let's take them back to, I don't really have a project folder for this. It's not a keeper. I'm going to make a new folder. And we'll just take main and starless. Okay, we're going to open up the starry one with GIMP. And then we are going to open up the starless one, open as layer. What we're doing now is making our star layer. And then I'm going to just take the starless one and subtract it from the starry one. And we'll... So at this point we will export this as a TIFF, and we will call it and in TIFF, when you're exporting, never save layers, never save thumbnails. It hangs up the Windows thumbnailer. Okay, so we can get rid of the starry one and change the starless one back into a normal mode. And this is what we're going to process. So let's duplicate this. We'll just call this base. First thing I'm going to do is grab a dodge tool. Okay, just got the shortcut. Go to white. We are dodging shadows. Okay, so we're just going to try to clean this up a wee bit, make it slightly more visible, or slightly less noticeable. You know what, that's fine. Next thing we're going to do is duplicate, and we're going to just do a quick curves adjustment. This is kind of what I call my galaxy curve. Just going to take down the background a little bit, and we're going to anchor the low end right here and give it a bit of a contrasting curve. You know, this one is kind of bringing up the right parts. We could contrast the core a little bit like that. I'm going to, we're not blown, we're on the edge on the red channel, but we're not blown. Okay, that actually took, I didn't click OK, but anyways. Okay, that's pretty good. Next thing I'm going to do is give that a bit of a smooth. It's kind of noisy. So I've got NIK Collection Tools installed, and this is my preferred method. You could jump over to Lightroom or whatever your preferred method is. The thing I like about NIK is that it's going to automatically sample some dark areas and some light areas and do automatic appropriate adjustments, and then I can also change those based on tonality. So this is a pretty good tool for this for astral images because of that. So it's analyzing right now. It dropped a sample right on the core, and we're not getting excessive smoothing here. It's not bad. The structures remain. And it's also dropped a sample on the shadows. So it's still doing that one. And that's kind of nice. The texture remains, but it takes down the noise. If I wanted to drop the amount of smoothing that it's doing, I can just hit reduce and go to color ranges, and I could select this color and then bring down the contrast noise. And they have a kind of a mass view. So this is what that reduction would work on. And I could actually look and see what that did. You know what? That leaves a little bit more detail intact. I think we'll go with that. So I'm just going to hit save. It'll put it back into GIMP as a new layer. So here is our difference. It's subtle, but it's there. Okay, we're going to duplicate. We'll call this one hip, and we are going to run the high pass filter on it. The high pass filter is very good at detecting edges and enhancing them, but without adding a lot of noise. So we just want our kind of edges to be brought out here, and this will do something for the dust lanes. And let's just preview that. I'll go into a contrast mode here. So we can, okay, that might not be obvious to you, but it's brought more contrast into the areas that were highlighted in the gray mask. So I'm just going to switch this back into contrast mode and click OK, because that way this layer is already a normal layer. Okay, let's bring our stars in and see how this looks. Open as layers. Sorry, brought in the wrong one. I'm in too much of a hurry. Star layer. There we go. Now there's two ways we can do this. I'm going to just apply a lighten only. And because the galaxy is a higher luminance than the star layer, the stars kind of disappear in there. And if you wanted, I'm going to duplicate. And then if you wanted on the other one, you could put it into an addition mode. So now the stars are added to the existing luminance and you get stars over the galaxy. So I kind of like that. I'm going to, this is in a mode, I'm just going to go new from visible. We'll call this inner stars, and we can get rid of the blended one. So this is in latent only mode, and then this one just brings in the stars over the galaxy. And so you have some choices here. The one thing I would do is take our star layer and we could just apply a curve to it. You can do a lot of things here. You could bring back a lot of stars. I kind of like them sharp but not overpowering with a galaxy, so a curve like this kind of works for me. And on this one, you know what, I got out of stage there. I should have done that curve to the layer before I made a new from visible, because if I take this one down now, it's going to affect the whole image. But what I can do is take the visibility of this down to control how many of those stars you see in the galaxy core. So those are some options. So I'm going to call this one done now. Yeah, I'm going to call this one done now. I mean, a person could go back to curves and just try to contrast this a little more. I wouldn't do a lot more, but we could take down the darks a bit and then just zero the center point. Okay, I kind of like that one. Okay, we will call this done. Let's check the timer. 21 minutes. So again, I've done this to, we're not keeping any of this, by the way. It's not a keeper project for me. Sorry about that. So I've done this just to demonstrate the power of the workflow that I've been talking about throughout this whole series. You can come home with fresh lights, darks if you have them, drop them in the appropriate folders, and run a script, and in 5 or 10 minutes you've got a stack and you can go to work, and it's just that quick and easy. But people ask me about how I got this effect with Andromeda, and this one I published, and it does not have the stars over the galaxy. It makes kind of a striking effect because the contrast really stands out. So I just demonstrated how to do that. It's not difficult at all, and it's all free tools. So this is the end of this series. If I find that I learned something that is not well known in the community, I might publish again. I don't have anything in mind right now, but it could happen. So if you want to subscribe, I won't inundate anybody, but if you like this, please feel free. My best regards. Be well.